Good afternoon, I'm Simi Sara. It is Pink Shirt Day. I hope you're wearing your pink shirt. I hope you're talking about it in your homes. I hope kids have talked about it in their classrooms today. I hope you're talking about it in your workplace. And to help you do that, we've got some great stories lined up for you this afternoon where people are going to tell us how they dealt with these problems. And it's not just at school or on the playground, it is everywhere. One of those stories is something we're discussing right now. Gabriella van Rij is with us, the author of a book called With All My Might. Very unique story. Gabriella, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, first of all, tell us about your background because it is a little bit unique.
Okay. I was born in the 60s in Pakistan, put in a Catholic orphanage, and from there I went instantly. I was one of the lucky ones. I got adopted at the age of 3 by a Dutch couple.
So you grew up in the Netherlands?
All over Europe.
Wow. What was that like?
The growing up, okay. And the all over the place, so, because children actually really do like to be in one place. But what was the most difficult was to feel accepted and to find a sort of sense of belonging between all the little Dutch kids when you come from Pakistan.
And you didn't look like all the other little Dutch kids, did you?
No, definitely not. This is a radio, so you can't see, but...
Yeah. No, you didn't look like all the other Dutch kids. I mean, you were brown.
Yeah.
That's really as simple as it gets.
And short.
Okay.
Extremely short in comparison to the Dutch.
Oh, really? So tell me, how was that dealt with?
Not. 9 out of 10, the teacher called me a liar if I told her that that was my cousin or a niece, because they wouldn't believe it. It was also in the days that adoption wasn't something that a teacher actually knew what it was. It was that new. And then last but not least is children really wanted to know if I was brown all over. And children are, at the one hand, they're cruel, but once their curiosity is dealt with, they really did become my friends.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
It's awfully sometimes learned behavior, right? Is when they are cruel, it's not because they want to be, but it's because they saw it somewhere else. How did your parents deal with this? This must have been a difficult situation.
I actually never talked till later, or only the moments that we had to, that the school would call my parents. It was really rare that I would tell them that I had been bullied at school.
And so what made you decide to write this book? Was it that you felt you wanted to tell these stories?
No, I wanted to tell that this whole fact of not belonging, that you're from mixed cultures or not even from mixed cultures. Let's take someone from rural Canada. You're there, you don't fit in, you feel like a sore thumb within the family. I'm trying to say through my story, it's okay that you don't belong. And it's up to you to find something within yourself that you can learn to accept who you are and then move forward.
Was writing the book difficult or was it cathartic?
No, it was difficult because I have learned in life that there are many angles to every story. So I tried to tell the book the way I feel, but also how I can imagine they must have felt, my parents in the 60s.
And how did they feel about that?
Well, because my mother, I don't know, she died, but she was all for it. And my dad said, bravo.
Really?
Yes.
See, because that couldn't have been easy either, to see your child open up and tell these stories about these awful things and situations that they were in, and when as a parent you were there, and sometimes you don't learn until in hindsight that you should have done something.
Yeah, but my father also said you were a very strong person, so I gathered that you were doing it all by yourself.
So what have you learned about people who bully?
The bystander. This morning I was talking about how the bystander needs to help. Then I learned a really terrific word, new. And because children, of course, it's hard, that word, bystander. And so the bystander cannot stay the bystander. It needs to become the active witness. And that, I think, is a really valuable lesson for all of us. Standing somewhere and watching and not doing anything is not a good thing.
It's, in some cases, I think it's as bad as participating.
Thank you. I was just going to say that. I totally agree. Totally agree.
That is one message that I've tried to get through to my kids at the very least is, if you see it, you got to speak up.
But I think a lot of children don't dare. And in the workforce, and especially today, you don't really dare either. Because if you see something that's not totally kosher, let's say, then there is the problem of peer pressure. Because we do want to be liked by the group. So the bystander is in this spot. And I always say, why don't you, without words, go closer within the group, and by your sheer presence closer to whoever is being attacked or treated badly, the whole group will back off.
Do you feel better when you go out and you do talk to kids about this and you talk about bullying?
Yes, what I found actually really hard to do the other day, I was at community center in Surrey, and I had to tell the most horrible story in the book, which is about having your clothes being ripped off in the playground. And when I told it, I actually, for the first time, I paused and I just had a big lump. And then they kind of looked at me and I said, you know, even today, it's tough to say it.
Can you tell us that story?
Okay.
Take your time.
I asked for that one.
Well, okay. You did, I have to admit. You did. Right, you brought it up.
I walked into that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought they had never been nice at school, and I just moved from Belgium to Holland, and the two most popular kids invited me to play, and I really believed them. So I went straight with them, but then I was cornered by the rest of the class. And then they cornered me, and because I was so little, nobody saw it. And then they started yelling and, you know, screaming bad words like peanut butter for my skin color. And then they ripped off my skirt. And then I stood there with my underwear, looking as dorky as you can imagine.
So they cornered you. They had set you up for this.
They totally, it was a total gang up of the whole class. And in that class was a little girl that I really liked and that had played at my house. But I kept looking at her. But, you know, in the end, I really realized, that's why I'm saying the bystander needs to be active. She didn't dare. She didn't dare stand up. She didn't know how to handle this. And I will, till this day, I can never blame that girl because she was really, I think she was as scared as I was. My thing was not to cry, to kind of stick it out. And when it was all done and over with, I thought, I need to find a way to get the kids to accept me and the brown skin. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance because someone called my mom. And then through my mother, every kid had to take me home. So you never learn if those are your friends.
Oh, so you don't know if
it's kind
they
of
were
a
forced to be...
friendship.
Yeah.
Which you do not really know. So I stayed really good friends with that one girl.
You were able to forgive her for not speaking up.
I don't even think I ever went there. I just realized when I looked at her is that she was scared, more scared than I was.
Yeah.
And that's sad too.
I think that happens a lot though, Gabriella. I think you're right. I think how many times do we hear about that? I've seen it happen myself. Yeah. Right? Where they'll talk to you in certain circumstances but not talk to you in others if it means that people will see them talking to you. I think that's a very common story. But
this is something that we need to teach everyone, because if this happens between kids, what happens then later in adult relationships with partners? It's just not okay that we let people treat us badly.
And your book is called With All My Might.
Yes.
And where is it available?
It's available at Blackberry Books on Granville Island. It's available at certain chapters, one in Langley. It's a lot of little bookstores. It's on my website.
Okay. And that is Gabriella van Rij. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And for telling your stories today. The book again is called With All My Might.